What's up? It's AGX Comics here with a video that I kind of wanted to do for a while, but I had this idea and I finally figured out the way I could portray this, right? I do the read and reviews and all the Marvel and DC stuff because obviously huge fan, this and that, and there's a lot of, a lot of easy targets to pick out, right? Like an event or what you name, like a continuation of whatever. But a lot of the times I always like, the funny part is I would say I might even be a bigger fan is of independent comics. Now, I know a lot of people like to debate the saying like, Image Comics is pretty much, so mainstream. They wouldn't call that independent anymore. But for the sake of this video and for future videos, I'm just going to include them as independent, right? Now, with that being said, I do want to go over some independent comics. I wanted to, I'm like the reading review for independent comics is tough because it's like, some of them are just limited series. And with the limited series, sometimes, I'm already in the third issue and I'm like, "Oh, damn, I would have loved to do this as, an R&R." And yes, I know I could always go back, right? I could always go back and do R&Rs from stuff I've read. But honestly, I kind of like it when it's coming off fresh that way people could follow along in real time is kind of like the thing that I like. So instead of doing that, I thought of doing, maybe once a month, I'll do a video like this where I go over all the comics that are independents that I've read that I really like and I think that I should recommend that you guys check out. Or it could be something as simple as like, oh, hey, this is total, this series is total ass. Don't waste your freaking time on it. So with that being said, this is, the state of independent comics in terms of all the stuff that I'm reading, what I recommend, and so forth. So hopefully this video won't be too long. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. But just go over basically the stuff and what I recommend. So here we go. And obviously I'll say spoilers to anything that I feel like is something that should be flagged, right? So first up, I want to talk about something epic, right? This has been going on for the last 3 months. Well, you name it. I just got done reading the third issue of it, and finally, it like I know a lot of people like right out of the jump are like, "Oh, this is something that's something epic, right?" But not to play a pun on the word, but actually, something where I felt that was like, yeah, everyone's kind of blown away because the artwork is awesome. The first two issues were total um totally, like thinking about this child who could go and he could conjure things up through his drawings, through his imagination. And then I'm just gonna say it out, flat out. Spoilers from here on out for this one. Uh it's this about the story about this boy named Henry, I believe, right? I think it's Henry. That he and his mother's dying of cancer, right? And he could conjure up whatever he wants in his head or his imagination, right? Of like you see different like superheroes, cartoon characters, and like any kind of like illustration that could be like put down, like a video game character, whatever it might be. And he could kind of conjure this up. Well, finally, the first two issues are about him, this child dealing with his mom dying of cancer, and everything kind of got flipped on its head in this last issue, where I'm like, oh, those first two issues were literally the precursor, right? Like they were the origin story, just those two of him, right? And now, it fast forwards 10 years in the future and he's like isolated himself because of his mind, and we get to see, again, spoilers, we get to see, I guess, what we would call the villain, right? Or a villain. Maybe this is going to be a longer series. I really don't know if it's a limited series or whatever it might be. But, we get, his anxiety, right, is a villain. So I was like, oh my God, like those first two issues were just that. Because I honestly did not see it taking the turn it was where we were going to, jump in time and his past was just those two issues to kick off the run. But I'm glad, I definitely recommend this series. So if you're reading it, I mean, let me know what you think, but I think it's just really getting started. It's really revving up right now. So, yeah. Next up, from Boom Studios, reading Creed. And I know issue two's coming out, so this is just the only the first issue I've read so far. And actually, I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I do really love the movies. Like I'm a big fan of the movies. But honestly, I thought the whole concept of how the characters and everything in boxing actually works out really well in a comic book format. Like really well. It reads really well. So just a short one, but yeah, I definitely recommend. You could probably get your hands on that first one. Again, it didn't come out that long ago. I think number two is coming out this upcoming week when I'm recording this. So if you like boxing, you like sport based things or whatever, or you just like the comic or like that movie series, I'm telling you, check it out. It's actually really good, and I think it translates well to comics. For some reason, I think it crossed over very well. Okay, next we're going to talk about, I believe again from Boom Studios, if I'm not mistaken. Um, the seasons have teeth. I know the finale is just it. The issue four of the finale, 404, has just came out. I actually my LCS didn't have it yet, so I haven't got my hands on the finale to read it, but I know as soon as I do, that's gonna be number one book on my priority list to get read, like right away. This series has been freaking awesome, right? It's about this photographer who again loses his wife. And basically, imagine if every season is kind of like a monster, right? That kind of rolls through. Like summer is like deathly hot, and it rolls through a certain area of the country, and then the governments of the world have to kind of rule it out to be safe, and it's a no zone. And this, you just see how this guy has to deal with his fears and tries to battle it. Let me tell you, it's a cool series. It's a cool little series and it's so good. I really recommend this book. Highly, highly, highly recommend this book to check it out. Next up is All Eight Eyes. Yeah, this one, unfortunately, I know you're like, oh, you just love everything. You're so cheerful. This one, I thought sucked. I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry if you guys like it. I'm sorry if you're writing it or you're an artist on it. I did not like this book at all. Just homeless people and spiders. I don't know. I don't know. It's just it wasn't doing it for me, and mainly I think it was because the artwork was a little weird in my eyes. Like just for me, obviously everything is everyone's got their own taste on everything, right? But this one in particular, the story was kind of weird, and not weird in the sense that I really liked, but it was just like okay. But if you like that sort of thing, maybe it's for you. It wasn't for me, and that's kind of where I stopped. I stopped after the first issue because it just didn't draw my attention at all. Next up, we got Terror War, and then we just wrapped up the fourth issue. Actually, I didn't wrap it up yet. I haven't read it, but I do have it. Um, Terror War. A lot of people didn't like this, and everyone's got opinions. A lot of people I know, this wasn't their cup of tea, to say the least. For me personally, yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love the idea of base. So the idea is you got this kind of futuristic city where literal nightmares come to life as monsters to kill people. And the only people that could do it are these like kind of like these like terror hunters, right? And basically you got groups of people where they make these bullets that kill the monsters out from their minds. It's trippy concept, man. It's trippy concept, but it's definitely worth the read in my opinion. It's not the cup of tea for everyone, and I realize this, but I personally would recommend this book. I would check it out or check out the series. I mean, issue fours are there, and it looks like we're gonna keep rolling. I don't know how many issues this is gonna be, but I suggest get on the train because I like it. I think it's dope. I kind of like the artwork too. The artwork's a little bit more. How do you say? It's way more colorful than you would think. You'd think it'd be more of like a horror esque thing, and it's really not. It's more like a sci-fi creature ish kind of mashup, and it just works for me, man. I like it. It's a good solid series so far. Okay, for the next one, I'm gonna talk about it's kind of like all horror books, and I'm gonna just kind of end it on this note. Just because I kind of wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter, and I could keep going and talking. There's so many independent books that I am reading, but I think this is a good first first cover point on everything, and kind of like letting me, you know, bring this video to life. If you're still with me at this point, do me a favor and please like and subscribe below. That would helps the channel out so much. But anyway, as I was saying, uh, there's Tenement, right? Jeff Lemire's book. Great book. I think I know number two from the Bone Mythos or Bone Orchards Mythos, I believe is how to say it. God, there's a lot of weird terminology here, but I definitely recommend it. A lot of his stuff I'm obsessed with. So, with that being said, also with Tenement, I recommend that book. It's about these people who live in this apartment, and then there's a death, and then that's kind of where the story is at the moment. But it's very well paced. It's a very well paced horror kind of book. And then the next one up, the Phantom Road. I jumped onto this story very late, so I only read issue 4 and 5, and it's pretty cool. It's another like zombified kind of horror, different horror aspects with these two people that are on kind of the run from these or have to get this cargo somewhere. And I recommend it. Think it's good. Again, Jeff Lemire. And then finally, this is the book that I mean, if you're not reading it, you're crazy, right? If you like horror and sci-fi and that, it's World Tree. Dude, World Tree is so cool. It's very graphic and whatever you might say, and there's weird printing errors and stuff on stuff there, some nudity, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? However, this book is cool. It's very graphic though, but I recommend it. It's definitely the independent book that's really high on my list, to say the least. It's about this kind of like computer virus that has turned into reality. The story is just picking up to kind of figure this stuff out. It's really chilling. But again, if you guys could get your hands on it, get your hands on it and read it. Especially when it comes to trade paperback or whatever. Get your hands on it. You're not going to be sorry. If you're into like gritty horror stuff, you're going to like this. But right now, that's kind of it for what I wanted to talk about. Please do me a huge favor and please like and subscribe below for more content. Thank you guys very much.